Hi everyone, welcome back to the Lighthouse Sessions. I'm excited. I have my new friend and fellow Canadian, Cory Blumenfeld, with me. Cory, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then we're going to pull some weird things out of the universe together.
I love that too. And I told you I have tattoos on my body to represent stuff. One of the tattoos is the universe because, that's all I'm about. Good things happen when you go chasing things in the universe. So, Cory Blumenfeld, founder and CEO of BlueMoso and CSMoso. We help businesses, small businesses, solopreneurs bring on the right outsourced talent, virtual assistants, client-facing roles, and back office roles. Been doing that for the last couple of years, but prior to that, I was focused solely on the tech space. So this new business that I'm in it's a whole new ballgame for me. But yeah, I've been an entrepreneur. I'd like to say my whole life. It feels like I was born for this shit. So I'm excited to be here, and hopefully we can continue the crazy conversation we were having prior to pressing record.
I love it. But by the way, you've watched some episodes. My audience knows I am a non-linear thinker, so I'm not going to say, okay, let's start at the beginning. When you were a child, what was your favorite? No, we don't do that. So let's talk about one of the things I find with us is we either build something because we had something that was perfectly good and it didn't quite work for us, so we tore it apart and we built it, or something drove us crazy and one day we solved it, and then we look at it and other people are going, I need this, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is a business. So how did you come to that transition moment? Because we can talk about your exits. I'm sure you've talked about that a thousand times. What was the moment where you went, I'm going to pivot and deal with outsourcing?
It was accidental. It's interesting because my first two businesses, they felt very forced, and there were parts of it that weren't, but it was like the second business. Yes, it did find me, and it's a fun story we can get into later. But the first business was just like I had to be an entrepreneur, and I had the blinders on, and it had to be in healthcare, and we had to fix the Canadian healthcare system. The Canadian healthcare system. Sometimes it feels like there's no fixing it, and I'm not saying it's horrible, but actually making change, very difficult. So this business, I was a tech founder. I hadn't no I'd hired a lot of people. I'd managed a lot of people. I knew what made people successful by setting them up for success, but I didn't think I'd be in the outsourcing space. And the transition happened was I exited my last business, and I was like, what am I doing with my life now? The one thing I always wanted to get better at, and I was writing, public speaking, putting myself out there, being seen. I knew that anything that I started next, I need to do all those things, which I'd been hesitant to do in the past. So I started writing on LinkedIn. I set a small goal because it's just I could never start before. So I was like, okay, I'm going to post once a week. I'm going to write my thoughts down and tell my stories and whatever. It doesn't matter. I just need to do it. Maybe other people are doing this and I'm not that interesting, but yeah, I'm going to do this. At that time, if you invited me to this podcast at that point, probably wouldn't have come on. I was too nervous. That's what I was fighting. I wanted to get over that feeling, like that I mattered, that I had the confidence to be a leader on my own. So I started writing and it felt really good. Like, you do one of those things that it felt impossible like the year prior, and I was doing it. I was sharing my life. I was using ChatGPT and writing horrible articles, but I was still doing it. And, people started to reach out, ask me questions. I was having conversations with people. I couldn't get in touch. Like nobody would answer me before. So it was like, okay, being seen gets you answered. So around the same time, I started a contract position. So I didn't really have as much time to do something that I love. So I brought on a VA because I wanted to keep growing my account. I wanted to keep growing my brand. And yeah, that individual that I brought on, I knew I needed to help them be successful. I couldn't just hand something. We talked about this before, right? But like, you can't just expect someone to solve the problem. You have to set them up for success. Bringing on someone is an investment. It doesn't matter how small or big the commitment is. So, I documented all the process. I clearly laid out my goals, how I was doing everything that I was doing, my expectations. I showed them what hard work was. Like, I wasn't relying on them to do everything. I was going to put in the hours, because sometimes people are more motivated when you show them that it's important to you. So yeah. Then people started reaching out again, and in the conversations was like, so exactly what you said. I brought on a couple of VAs. I had to let them all go. They weren't the right fit. I haven't been successful. It's so hard to find a good one. I'm getting so many resumes. I don't know where to look. All these other sites, they just aren't meeting my needs. And I was like, At that time, I was really close with my virtual assistant and her family. And so I went to the first person on the call and I was like, so if I helped you build out the systems and I lent you my virtual assistant, would you be interested? They said yes. I went to my virtual assistant and I said, I think I can earn you some extra money. Are you interested? She said yes. And the problem found me. It wasn't like I was searching for this. I accidentally stumbled upon this. I wanted to start a business, preferably in the tech space, but this found me. And now that virtual assistant's my business partner. Her and her family, like, they're amazing. So accidental.
I love, and by the way, my favorite business is all accidental. It is fascinating because we can be stubborn and go, okay, this is the direction, and the universe goes, I don't think so. I just, it nudges you until the nudge finally kicks in. Now let's talk about. You don't know this, and I haven't shared even off screen here. I always apologize to my guests because I get to have a fun conversation before I hit record. But I am obsessed with outsourcing, and for the record, I'm not deeply concerned about offshoring versus onshoring and all that stuff. But what I do love is that fractional community of VAs, because oftentimes that's the first hire people need so that they have the mental bandwidth to hire other people. And what I say, a lot of people, they want to hire, I hear people, I have to hire a CEO. And it's like, yeah, but maybe you should start a little smaller. So you've done this a long time now, 2 years. What are some of the things you wish people knew about bringing in a VA? Because honest to God, I think we are our own worst enemies at times, because either we're not clear on what the outcome is, or we think the tasks are what matters. But what do you see when people sit down and say, okay, Cory, I need to hire a VA? What mistakes are they making right out of the gate? Because I'm sure that amuses you and keeps you up at night in both.
You read my words. I was about to say this is stuff that keeps me up at night. I mean, there's so many things, so I'll probably miss something, but it's just the first thing is like being real with yourself. Are you at a point where you are willing to hand off stuff? A lot of folks bring on they outsource and they're just not willing to get out of the way. You brought on someone to do something. You're not going to get the best quality work if you don't give them trust. And trust is earned. I get that, but
yeah,
sometimes a lot of folks are unwilling to delegate. They don't have the mindset. They still like lurch over everything. And so I'd say that's where it starts. Like, you have to get in the right mindset to start delegating. Then the next thing is like, you can't just bring on anyone. And this is the biggest piece that I've started to learn. It's like, it doesn't matter if the person has all the skills you need on paper. That's not enough. You really have to vibe with this person. You really have to mesh with them. They have to have the right communication style, personality type, and work style. That's super important. And if they have the skill set with those combined, yeah, you're more likely to be successful with that person, because you and me both know, us founders, we're a whole different breed of person, and it's not easy to deal with those individuals, and we're all different types of we have different personality types. So that's the next thing. So now you have the mindset, you have the right person. The other thing is like setting the person up for success. A lot of times when I see people bringing on or outsourcing, they just, here, go figure out the problem for me. I think you mentioned this, without even knowing what the problem or the outcome they want to achieve or how to solve it, right? And I think it's important, before you ever delegate anything, to really understand what it is that you need to achieve, like having a clear direction, because people without direction,
just really busy. I paraphrase Sun Tzu, but I think it sounds nice. strategy without tactics is the slowest path to victory, but tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat.
Yeah.
And that's, you see people, they're spinning plates and they're really spinning and they're really busy. And it's like, what are you accomplishing? I don't know.
Exactly. And I see this all the time. Like the ones that are very, look, I have ADHD, I'm not neurodiverse. I know that I need focus, but I know that with an absence of focus, when I am unfocused, because of the speed I'm able to move, the people around me, they're the ones that are suffering. So, I might be able to deal with that, but not the ones around me. So, once you have a clear idea of what you want to accomplish, and and you've set these individuals up for success with the right SOPs, the right documentation, like it's super clear for them. I think then you can really start to focus on the work that needs to be done. But a lot of folks think in terms of tasks. They don't think in terms of outcomes. And when you think in terms of tasks, all you get is an individual that's checking it off at the end of the day. If that's what you expect, a task to be completed, that's what you'll get, not an outcome, right?
Yeah.
So I think that another important thing is for individuals to think in terms of outcomes, not in terms of tasks, because the task at the end of the day really doesn't, it depends, but it doesn't really matter if the outcome is, if someone says, I want to generate more revenue, then the tasks don't really matter as much if the individual figures out another way to generate more income, right? Yeah. So that's usually what I find. And there's a ton of other things. Just be a good human, right? I meet a lot of people that just aren't fair and that nice to the individuals that are working with them, and they take out their shit on these people. It's like, no, that's when I come in. That's why I'm here, because like I'm like the enforcer. It's like, no, you don't. You have respect. There, a lot of people treat virtual assistants and outsourced workers as objects. They're human. They have families. That's why I told you we said this. You've invited me into your family. Everyone that I work with, they've been invited into my family because they are family. And if you mess with my family,
there's consequences, right?
Yeah.
People say, yeah, Jeff, you're so patient. No, I'm the bouncer. You mess around, you get one redemption. You mess around again, you're gone. And I am fascinated. I am deeply respectful of people's virtual assistants. And I also pay attention to how other people treat assistants around me. Because if you're rude to someone's assistant, I got nothing for you. I don't want to hang out with you. So.
No, exactly. That's just be a good human. That's it. Be a good human. I know maybe it's easier because we're Canadian. I don't think so. Because like I'm not always nice, right? I know when to stand up for myself, but it's like, be a good human. That's it. And that's how it ends. That's usually what keeps me up the most. It's when just someone's like, how are you doing this to another person? How are you not paying them? Right? That happens all the time. Like it's like, you don't even need to pay me. I don't even care. Just pay them. But there's people that sometimes just run off and they're like, I don't like the work that was done. It's like, my friend, we didn't follow the other stuff that we said, but now you're going to say,
we're not Costco with an unlimited return policy. Again, I have a rule. I've softened it slightly because it offended some people, but I used to say in my agreements, I am not your servant. I am not a slave. We are colleagues. And if you can't treat me and my team that way, we don't need to work together. People took offense to the language. And I'm like, just for the record, your offense to that phrase tells me everything.
Yeah.
So you need to meet Jason Fishman. I will make that happen.
Thank you.
And I think Ryan Hayes has a no jerks policy. It is fascinating how many people on my podcast have some version of no jerks. And I think that is a fundamental, I don't want to hang out with a jerk. Why would I expect my team to hang out with a jerk? So let's talk about the people coming in and working with you, because I think a lot of people, and I'm sorry, but big tech right now has made the entire industry of recruiting feel very, very transactional, and it's very churny. I I love that you think of your people as your family, your community. You're looking out for them. What kind of things should people be looking at and saying, maybe I should talk to Cory's team? Like, because honestly, I've talked to many people about offshoring and VAs, and the reality is most of them don't know what someone else can do.
Yeah.
So what are some favorite things that you guys love to handle?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think what excites me is just the opportunity now, right? I know that a lot of businesses and a lot of folks are scared of AI, but I think that it's creating a ton of opportunity, right? It's getting rid of a lot of the busy work that folks were doing in the past, and it's an exciting time to be in the outsourcing space because that busy work that you were doing, those tasks that you were doing on repeat, those kind of are going away. You can focus on really important work. Individuals come to us for a lot of things, right? We like to think we're creating a human in the loop. It's something that we prioritize.
Yeah.
We focus on. It's the individual to interact with the systems that you're building out for your small business. So a lot of stuff that we do, general admin, general ops. So there's two arms to the business, right? There's the back end and then the front end. They're two separate businesses. So the back end, general ops, social media management, executive assistants. For e-commerce, we have people managing inventory and supporting orders. So there's that side of it. And then for the front end side, things like client success, customer success, account management, community managers. So there's a variety of different roles that we focus on. And it's because our model's very, very focused on not doing the work. We're not task workers, right? We're focused on outcomes and finding the right person to do it. And then we were talking about this before. Most business owners just don't have the time. So we manage the individuals for them. We make sure those individuals are successful. We help them upskill. We help them look in the right place for information. And we help support them. So therefore, we won't do anything too technical. That's just not our bread and butter. But if you come to us and say, hey, Cory, I need someone to help me with my social media, or hey, Cory, I need someone to help manage my operations, we'll make sure that we find the right person to support you and then support them so you're not managing them.
I love that. And I want to pull out an elephant that should be in the room, and I don't think people think it through enough, but a lot of people I've met, and they will not meet you because you'll know in a second, they come to me and they're like, I want a VA and I want someone who's cheap and I want the one person that I can build a relationship with and I can, get their dedicated attention. And then in the next breath, they'll say, I don't want agencies because I don't like the fact that the agency is making money off of this person. And I look at them and I laugh because I want an agency every single time, because I'm not just hiring that person and I'm not hiring for the tasks. I want to know that if that person, God forbid, gets, wins the lottery and runs off to the beach somewhere, somebody else can pick up the reins and run with it. What would you say to that person other than don't be cheap?
Oh, I mean, there's a couple things, right? If we're just looking at, I have these conversations all the time. I tell people there are options for you, but this requires you to manage. This means you have to set the person up for success. When you bring on another person onto the team, you're responsible for them. You're responsible for their success, and you need the time to dedicate to that individual, especially when you're looking for something very, very cheap. So yeah, I tell that there are options. You can do this, and I'll point you in the right direction, but it will require a time commitment and an investment from you. It's not just going to solve your problems. And this person's probably going to come in with the absence of the skills that you need, and you'll need to dedicate even more resources to them. So yeah, be my guest. I want you to, and sometimes there's clients that do, and I'm like, perfect. You're not the right client for me.
Yeah, I send them to onlinejobs.ph. You can get an amazing Philippine worker for about $3 an hour, and God help you because you're going to have to manage them, right?
Yeah, but this is something that I also learned along the way, right? When you go for the cheapest option, right, you're not creating an environment of stability. the next offer that they get that's a little bit, let's say they get 25 cents, it's still 25 cents more, and they're going to take it, right?
Yeah.
You're not creating loyalty there. You're not, you literally are just showing them that, they're disposable. And so we're not looking for folks like that. The folks that we've been in this space, we made our mistakes, we learned, and we get better. For us right now, we work with folks that they understand the value of their time. They understand they have more time back, and they're not focused on managing, and they're focused on growing the business. This is an investment. The business grows faster. They have more capacity. They understand that, we provide all of our clients with an account manager and a team lead to manage the VA, so it's one person, and then we provide an executive team member who has more, like a more senior person that knows how to deal with more complex problems. And so, you're not actually hiring just one person. You're getting a team. But we know that for this individual to be successful, they need the team, and most people don't have the time to give. So go and hire the cheap work. That's okay. I support it, but just know that
there's a cost
you need
to
do this. You better support that person and make up for or help them be successful. Don't blame them.
Yep. And I think that's where I'm seeing this more and more is the people I encounter and the people you work with, they understand, first of all, that there's a leadership management cost. Somebody pays it. You either pay it in dollars or you pay it in actual time. But I also think that a lot of our people need to understand the value of their time, because it's not, again, do I spend $3 and I get somebody in the Philippines? It's, do I meet this quarter's objective because I'm busy doing stuff I shouldn't? Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah. It's super, that's the thing. It's all about ROI, right? I think, and I see, for me, it took me a long time to get here. When I spend money, I used to look at everything like an expense. And a lot of business owners do this. Once they start to shift, right, is this actually generating an ROI? It didn't matter, because if I was spending $20 on an individual and getting really good talent, and it was generating, 3x return, it just made sense. So it's the time that I'm getting back. It's the ROI I'm getting back in terms of dollars. But it just, some folks get caught up in what the cost is, and that's okay. In my mind, that might not be the right clientele, because maybe sometimes those individuals need to focus on figuring out what is pushing their business forward. And I'm not here to solve those types of problems. I can't solve those types of problems for an individual. And it's better that they come back to me when they have a clear plan past that stage.
I love that, and I think that's where I see people. Honestly, I'm obsessed with the rise of businesses and the amazing drop off of how few actually make it to 1 million, and from there it's like 1% that make it to 1 million make it to 10 million, and the common denominator is always how the founder spends their time.
Yeah,
and I think that's where people miss. When I read Dan Sullivan's book with Ben Hardy, Who Not How, I missed the unique ability piece. I was like, oh, I need to hire who's. Nope. Turns out that was not more who's doesn't solve the problem if you don't know how to manage them. I am a whiteboard visionary leader. Do not give me troops that need morale boosting. I will be kind to them, but I'm not the guy who's going to say, we should all go for lunch or whatever it is. I'd rather know there's somebody else. I recognize the power of the people and the value of the people. I just need to hire somebody to lead them because I'm busy doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's fascinating what you do.
But isn't this what makes a great leader, right? It's that, practicing humility, knowing what you're good at, knowing what you need to focus your energy and time on. And, I know a lot of individuals that get into entrepreneurship and they build something because we talked about this before, hustle culture. There's social media makes it look so cool.
Oh yeah.
Being an entrepreneur sounds awesome on paper. Everyone's just talking it up, like being your own boss.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times being an entrepreneur means figuring out what you're not good at being okay with it, and then finding the right people to be good at it for you. Look, like there's, I forgot there's the visionary, right, rule. There's like different rules, right? There's the executor, right? The person who gets shit done. I pretend to be an executor, but I know I'm not. I'm the talker. I'm the motivator. I'm opposite of what you want to be, but I love that. And that's why I'm in this role, because I found something that it meshes with who I am. Now, I know that we have to execute. I know that I have ADHD, so I have to put systems in place, but I need to surround myself with the right people who can help me execute, that are going to be the executors, that are going to actually push me. So it's not actually me being the executor. It's me surrounding myself with people that can help unlock the executor in me.
I love that. And for what it's worth, I'm obsessed with Gino Wickman and the EOS.
That's
movement.
what I was talking about. Thank you. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Been a while.
And that's the thing. I was like, okay, I'm a visionary and I need an integrator. And I love his example of Walt and Roy Disney, because Walt, as a great creator, he was on the verge of bankruptcy. The man had genius ideas, but he'd also come along and go, okay, move that there. He was never finished. Whereas Roy came along and said, okay, we're going to build Disneyland. Here's the schedule. Walt, stay out. and that's the thing. What I see in you, and that's why I was smiling, is visionaries need another visionary to talk to, but we're not all gifted like you. There's a very few people I've met. I call them the bridges between the visionary and the integrator, because a lot of visionaries burn out their integrators because they forget the little pieces, and we don't naturally build the systems, and then when somebody's trying to build systems, we burn them out because we keep changing the end goal. I love that you're sort of there in the middle, and you can basically absorb some of the kinetic energy from the visionary and say, okay, let's slow down a minute, and then turn to the people and say, okay, here's the system we need. I think that's what a lot of visionaries miss. They're just because again, when I'm in creative mode, full speed ahead, I'm like Wile E. Coyote with that rocket strapped to my back. It's like I'm going fast. I feel you.
That's who I used to be, and it's just me working on I work on this, right? I'm still that person. I've burnt out a lot of people, and I see it. But now I'm more in tune with who I am. To understand when I am doing this to other people, and I will say, I had this conversation earlier with someone on my team. One of the people on your team isn't sure what they need to do. I'm like, okay, well, now I need to go and have this conversation. I have to stop myself sometimes. So, it's just more, it's funny. I talk to a lot of people that will say, oh, I suck at building systems and operations. And I'm like, I'm just like you. Like I am all over the place sometimes, but I know that it needs to be done. So I force myself. And I think it's just something we can get good at. And going back to the humility piece, when we understand maybe what aren't our strengths, it allows us to start working on those things. So I can be all over the place, but I've also learned how to control that energy, because when you have that energy controlled, you can be so much more powerful.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing, I'll share this because you shared that you have ADHD. So I'm ADHD and autistic, which most people don't know the difference. But ADHD, I got tons of ideas. Autism, I've got hyper focus and I can execute. The problem is I don't know who's showing up for work today, because some days it's one or the other. And for me, dealing with people, I have to be on and have a certain balance. Whereas when I'm full on autistic, don't talk to me all day, because I am solving the problems of the universe. And niceties like "How was your weekend?" makes my head explode. So I love having people around me.
I resonate with that, because the for some reason my biggest pet peeve, and I don't know why, it's just like I don't need people to congratulate me. I don't need people to say nice things to me. I know when I do something good, it's like I don't need to be praised for it. It's just part of who I am. I did it. Thank you. And maybe that's some past trauma. I do not know. I'm still working on myself every single day. But yeah, it's like, and I know, but this is the interesting thing on this topic, because I've talked about it before. I do a lot of reflection. It's not, it's about the other person in that. And so now I understand, like, okay, maybe I don't need to like people to congratulate me, but other people need it. And so this is also me understanding more about myself. I hate it, but if someone says something nice to me, I have to accept it into my life. I need to learn how to accept and bring it into my life and say thank you because they did it and being nice, and give to other people as well.
Yeah. That's and for the record, you and I could have an entire episode just on that, because as I learn my defaults, I recognize how sometimes those defaults might grind away on somebody else's nerves, and vice versa. So it's all about building those relationships. People closest to me can say, Jeff, you're glitching. Why don't you go reset and come back? And it's funny because the first time they say it, they're waiting for me to explode. And I'll go, thank you. And I walk away. And they're like, oh, you meant you won't be offended. And I'm like, yes. I don't know if I'm glitching. You know, it's like when AI hallucinates. It doesn't know that.
Yeah. But, you know, it's clear to me, like, I think that you've taken time to get to know yourself, right? The fact that you're able to talk about these small little details about who you are, that is super important. I think that for founders, for business owners, a lot of times they want to be someone that they're not. They can't actually. Who are you? What sets you off? How, like you have to know these little details, because a business revolves around other people, and if you don't understand how to build connection, or you know where you do your best work, how you do it, what you need to surround yourself with, what pisses you off, what environments you succeed, like all these little things, like it's very hard to succeed.
Yeah,
I know the vision of entrepreneurship seems really cool, but it takes a lot out of you. And if you can't cope with that, it's going to be a fun ride.
Well, for what I've discovered, the more work you do on yourself, the less annoying everybody else feels like to you, and therefore you get better results. So, Cory, you and I could talk all day. I will be mindful of your time. The people watching this, they want to get to know you, connect with you. How do they learn more about you, what you're doing, how to work with you?
Yeah, you can find me BlueMoso.com, BlueMoso.com. CSMoso.com. That's for the front end roles. CSMoso.com. And I'm active on LinkedIn, Substack, Instagram, TikTok. Come find me there. And if you have any questions for me, I love networking and building relationships. You can email me hello@BlueMoso.com, and I'm happy to have a conversation.
I love it. Well, I'm glad the universe saw fit to bring you and I together, and welcome to the Lighthouse family.
Thanks, Jeff. And I end every call with a fist bump, so boom.
Ooh, yay. I usually do high fives, but fist bump's great too.
We can do that too. Boom.